representing under the RVARC electronic meeting participation, allowing remote participation under special circumstances when a physical quorum is present. Mr. Griffith and Mr. Walters' requests are due to their personal residencies being over 60 miles from today's meeting location. Unless there is an objection, we will consider the request approved by unanimous consent. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order, and Jeremy, would you do the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Walters? Don't believe he has joined us yet. Mr. Griffith?
Here. I don't know what.
I'll be whatever you want.
No, you are you, and you are you. Thank you. Mr. Whitlow. I believe he is downstairs. Mr. Demont. Yeah. Mr. North. Here. Mr. Osborne. You too. Mr. Rath. Here. Mr. Dressler. Is he online? Okay, well, we'll come back. Mayor Seibel. Mr. Vollison? Here. Ms. Erdman?
Here.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Here.
Ms. Dirk?
Here.
Mr. Wallace? Ms. King?
Here.
Ms. Loudermill?
Here.
Mr. Unruh? Here. Mr. Wood? Here. Mr. Clements?
Here.
Mayor Gross? And Mr. Peters. We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jeremy. At this time, we'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda. Action requested for approval of consent agenda items, which include approval of the agenda today, approval of the minutes from January 26th meeting, which are located in your package on pages 3 through 17. Financial reports ending in January on pages 18 through 21. Do I have a motion to approve the?
And we discussed this wrong.
Motion. Second. Thank you.
Rocket trip here.
Item 3, under Chairman's remarks, we have a few today. Today we are live streaming our meeting on the Commission's Facebook page, part of our ongoing effort to improve public awareness of the important work undertaken by the Regional Commission. We want to remind you watching that they are always welcome to address the Commission by one of our public hearings or in person during the public comment period at each meeting. The Regional Commission continues to be involved in the Catawba Hospital Improvement Project, which is being led by Delegate Sam Rasool. As the effort moves through the General Assembly, the scope has been reduced from $147 million substantial improvement and expansion to a $14.8 million study and renovation effort. While a reduction in the project size is nonetheless a necessary first step to transforming Catawba Hospital into a state-of-the-art addiction recovery facility and behavioral health center, I want to thank all of you who've been involved in this effort, and particularly the staff and advisory committee of the Commission's Roanoke Valley Collective Response Program, who've been working with organizations across the region to support this legislation. And I also want to thank everyone who wrote letters of support during the General Assembly in the last month or so. So the effort will continue next year, and we'll have more on that as this year goes by. On that note, I'm now pleased to recognize the new director of the Roanoke Valley Collective Response, Robert Batt. Robert, stand up so everybody can see you. Welcome and congratulations. Robert started with the commission a week ago today, and Robert has a deep background in marketing and communications, having worked with Carillion, Bradford University, and running his own firm. He's been a leader with the Roanoke Valley Collective Response since its inception in 2018, serving on both its steering committee and the collective's advisory committee here at the commission. We're excited to have Robert on board at this critical time for this region, and look forward to working with you in the upcoming months. Do you have any comments you want to make?
I will address several updates later, so thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mr. Chair, I have been reminded we did not actually vote on the consent agenda.
No, we did not.
So
I have a motion, we accept the consent agenda. We had a motion and a second. Call the roll.
we can do a voice vote.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
Thank you. We need to give Mr. Bowles the parliamentarian time. Thank you. Knew something was missing, I didn't know what it was. At this time, we'll move on to Executive Director's report, Jeremy Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I do want to take a moment to welcome our two newest commission board members. First, David Clements joins us as the newest member from Rocky Mount Town Council, as an elected representative for Rocky Mount. So I really appreciate you being here today for your first meeting, and welcome to the commission. And I also want to introduce Barbara Dirk. A lot of folks know Barbara. She has been at the commission many times, but now she is here as the City of Roanoke's citizen representative. So welcome, Barbara, joining us here at the Regional Commission. I look forward to working with both of you to support regionalism across the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany area. I wanted to share quickly, several of you probably received this as well, but just to make sure everyone is aware, Senator Warner's office did reach out to remind us that applications for congressionally directed spending, previously known as earmarks, are due to his office by March 10th at 11:59 p.m. He and Senator Kane have a joint application review process, so any application that goes to one or other offices will be reviewed by both senators for consideration. So just a reminder of that deadline, and if there's any project ideas you've got or anything that the commission can help with, please reach out, and we'll do our best to be of assistance. At the January commission, you'll remember this body approved the exploration of developing and supporting a regional legislative agenda. So to begin that conversation, we've formed a small task force to explore if and how the commission would pursue such a project. So I want to thank in advance Lori Smith, Jim Wallace, Peter Mollison, and Debbie Loudermilk for agreeing to be part of that task force, along with myself and Chair North. We will begin that discussion shortly and hope to bring some recommendations back to the commission fully for your review later this spring in time, should that be something we pursue, to develop something in advance of the General Assembly convening in the fall. And then finally, the Regional Commission is partnering with Virginia Energy to host a large-scale solar workshop at the end of March. You may remember that representatives from Virginia Energy gave a presentation to this board last September discussing the solar development trends, policies, markets, and so forth in the Commonwealth. So this is kind of the next step in that, implementing some of the ideas from that presentation. So this workshop will focus on best practices, policies, and information from state and local experts and networking opportunities. It's being designed for local planning and policy staff. So this isn't necessarily a public workshop. This is really focused on the planning staffs at our localities to give them a sense of what opportunities exist. We have sent a save the date notification and formal invitations will be going out to key planning folks in the region. And we want to thank in advance Bonitot and Green Ridge for hosting that event at the end of March. That is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Moving on to the agenda to item 5, Greater Roanoke Region Workforce Board Update. Chair welcomes Morgan Romeo, Executive Director of the Greater Roanoke Workforce Development Board. Tell us some good news. Morning.
The good news?
Yeah.
Well, the good news, spring fever has hit me, so I sound a little hoarse. So I've saved my voice for you guys all day. I think hold up my presentation essentially. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the commission, for having me today. I'm gonna do a presentation a little bit about the Regional Workforce Development Board. I'll give a little bit of background, so those of you that have never seen me before or heard of us before will get a good snapshot today. And then I want to talk a little bit about some legislation that's in the session right now that a lot of you have probably kept tabs on about the restructuring of our workforce system in Virginia, and then just highlight some of our key initiatives that we've been doing over the past couple of years and will continue in the future. Is there a clicker, or I'll just hit you? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the role of my organization. So the Greater Roanoke Workforce Development Board is a regional entity similar to the commission or a regional economic development organization, but our focus is primarily workforce development. So there are a lot of different entities that do workforce, whether that's a community-based organization, a state employment agency, but our role is to bring all of those partners together to make sure that business and industry, economic development can really get to the resources they need quickly and efficiently. So we were actually formed by federal legislation a very long time ago to handle federal dollars that come down to our region for workforce development. Over time, our agency has evolved into not only managing the federal funds that come to us, but also state and local dollars and discretionary dollars to try to fill those gaps for workforce development. So again, we convene a numerous amount of partners in economic development, training and education, community-based workforce development, really to try to get a clear picture of what our region needs to meet our business and industry employment opportunities. To just talk a little bit about how Virginia is structured, I am one of 14 workforce development boards. We are on obviously the western side of the state, but I have 13 counterparts that do just as great of work as I do in the state, really all trying to work to that common goal to make Virginia best in class for workforce, best in class for business. So our region, which is a little different than others, I am very lucky that we cover the exact same territory that the Planning Commission covers, the exact same territory that our Regional Economic Development covers. I do have some split things. I have 2 community colleges in the region, but other areas have way more things to deal with, so I'm very thankful that we have such synergy between our organizations and in our regions. So we cover very rural areas, of course, Franklin County, Alleghany, Highlands, but then we also cover everything in between with the city of Roanoke, County Roanoke, Botetourt, Craig, and Salem. So just to, again, give you kind of a bigger snapshot of who all is in our region for workforce development. As you can imagine, workforce is a hot topic in a lot of conversations right now. So it seems kind of like every day there's someone new that is contributing to workforce development initiatives in the region. Not necessarily a bad thing, but again, our role is trying to convene those parties together so that you all or a business does not have to go to 15 different agencies for the same thing. So again, we have state agencies that are involved in this. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Virginia Employment Commission, whether that's good or bad. I think a lot of you might be know about Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, Total Action for Progress. I'm sure a lot of you serve on their boards as great community-based organizations that provide really niche services for target populations in our region. And then of course we work with our education partners, community colleges, private training providers, businesses that have started their own training provider like the Build Smart Institute, and adult education, those high school diploma, GED equivalency. So how do we provide our services? So again, our federal, state, local discretionary dollars funneled into our budget. Our total budget right now every year is sitting at about $8 to $9 million in funding that can contribute towards workforce development and a variety of different things. We have 3 physical locations that we provide assistance out of in our region. Now I'll tell you, before COVID, these three physical buildings were really important. We were seeing thousands of people every year. As COVID, of course, has changed probably all of our lives, our centers are really not seeing the foot traffic anymore. A lot of our services have moved virtual and just are accessible by internet, telephone, because during COVID, we had to adapt. So I think one of the biggest surprises to us during COVID was that initially when we started to do the process of taking all of our services virtual, the #1 concern of ours was broadband. Who doesn't have access to broadband? How are they going to get us services? But I'll tell you what we learned is everybody has a smartphone. So as long as we can adapt to having people do it on a smartphone or able to go to a library or a community center and get those things done, we were good. And actually our services increased during COVID because we were able to expand that access. But our 3 physical centers do exist. There's one in Roanoke. If ever you would like a tour, our center is on Third Lane Road, right near the airport, near United Healthcare Group. And then we also have 2 smaller, but just as important centers in Rocky Mount and Covington. And the reason we have those is obviously those are 2 outer areas. We don't want those folks to have to drive all the way to Roanoke to find services when we know transportation can be a barrier. So what do? There's 2 primary groups of folks that we serve, job seekers and businesses. And our goal is to connect the 2. So for job seekers, we do everything from the bare minimum of helping them, sending them a job lead, to holding their hand, providing support services and case management until they get a job, and really until they stay on the job for at least a year. We see a variety of different job seekers. It is not a cookie cutter approach. So we see everything from someone who desperately needs their high school diploma and has never worked before in their life, all the way up to folks who've been laid off from their job for software development or engineering, really high-tech, high-skilled folks. And we just have to provide comprehensive services in whatever they need. So we provide anything from basic job search assistance, helping them edit their resume. I'll tell you, people who've been in the workforce for a while have no clue how to do a resume these days. Sometimes I can't even keep up with the formats and things that are being included. I learned the other day that you don't put an objective anymore. That's like a big faux pas, so FYI. We also provide pre-vocational services. So we've been doing a lot of digital literacy at our libraries. We have a lot of folks who are coming to us for that need, and really it's digital literacy for the job search market because everything is online. There is no taking your resume to a business anymore. That does exist sometimes in small businesses, but really it's, you gotta go to their online portal, navigate a confusing assessment, and we're here to help with that. And then our funding is really used for a lot of occupational training. So helping someone get those skills they need to get a better job. If they're laid off from a job and they haven't updated their skills in 10 years, let's get them that active credential or certification to get them to where they need to go. And then supporting them on their way. So if they're in internship or in training, helping them with transportation back and forth, helping them with childcare, helping them with housing and utility payments, food assistance. I'll tell you, and you'll see me repeat in big bold letters, wraparound services is the way to go right now. It is what is keeping people stable and keeping folks in those jobs and helping them get jobs that our businesses need filled. So then on the flip side, what do we do with businesses? Obviously, connecting those job seekers, businesses are really our primary customer. We are not training basket weavers, and even though the Hampton Roads area would tell me, and probably be fussing at me, we don't train underwater welders for Hampton Roads. And so we are training and trying to meet the job market in our region. So we are looking at businesses and talking to them and saying, what do you need tomorrow? What do you need today? What did you need yesterday that you don't have? And that's where we're really trying to dig in and find those skills and find those trainings that are relevant to the businesses today. So we put those job seekers in the training, we fund that training for them, but on the business side, we can also reimburse businesses for their cost of training individuals, which has been extremely, extremely popular. A lot of businesses during the pandemic have flipped to kind of an on-the-job training model. They don't require certifications, they don't require credentials, they're doing the jobs in-house. That's really big for our manufacturing institutions. Our manufacturing institutions have a lot of technical skills that they need on their machines, on their products. No community college or private provider in their eyes can provide that. So a lot of them have developed these in-house training programs. We're kind of a little bit trying to flip the narrative because we have great education institutions here and they actually can do that work. But that's just what we've seen over time as those businesses have developed those internal training programs. And then we also provide general data information, helping them make sure their wages are matching what is compatible or competitive in this market, and then helping them with incentive programs, connecting them to economic development, and then on the occasion that we have someone that's laying off, we can actually assist them with those type of activities as well. So I'll talk a little bit before I get into kind of what we're doing, talk about these reorganization plans. And I thought, because you guys are really involved in some of the state work and the legislative work, I was just talking to Chairman North that some of our folks are coming home to turn around and go back. It does look like a workforce reorganization bill will pass the House and Senate and then be signed into law by the governor. I had to do a little bit of fact checking, because I'll be honest, it's changed a couple of times, and by a couple I mean 10, since it got on the floor, and since it came from both the House and the Senate. But I think they've gotten to a really good compromise. What I will say first and foremost is this needed to happen a long time ago at the state level. As a local and regional practitioner, we do have roles with state agencies that, whether they're federally mandated or just working with them to establish programs or services, it makes it very difficult because they are truly spread out amongst, 60 different agencies. And so you'll see here, this is kind of where it started. So this is not where we're going to be, but we get about $485 million for workforce development in Virginia a year. And, spread across 12 agencies and 6 secretariats, I have to get that many signatures on documents and things when I want to implement. So it just slows progress down. So the state level organization is really going to be a good thing. And if you go to the next slide, I think, so don't take pictures or copy this, but I'm pretty sure I have it as the legislation stands today. So what I tried to do here, this is all of the different workforce programs that are available in Virginia. It's a lot. And so this yellow right here is the new agency that is being formed with the legislation that you might have been following. These programs are all of the programs that are coming underneath this new agency from different ones. So I think what you'll see is, like I said, this is a great first step. There's a whole lot more work to do to get this really consolidated and defragmented. So the funding that a workforce board oversees right now is this pot right here. That pot right there gets about 40 million in that 485 chunk from the federal government each year. These programs here, and I won't try to bore you with bureaucracy. There's a lot of different programs here. General job search. This program is for individuals affected by overseas trade, veterans programs, long-term unemployed. These are all coming from the Virginia Employment Commission. So these are programs that they also operated that you probably don't hear much about because of unemployment. So they're coming under this new agency. Registered apprenticeship, I think that was a really hot topic during this legislation session about whether they should come or go. They're coming from the Department of Labor and Industry, so they will move under this, as well as a program that got authorized by the last governor. This is not in our region. It's in Hampton Roads, Richmond, and I think the Shenandoah Valley, so that's a discretionary program. So what essentially will happen is these workforce programs and the other things right here that the VEC operate will be split. So the unemployment, foreign labor certs, and work opportunity tax credit will remain with, I think, what will be known as the Virginia Unemployment Assistance Commission. And the rest of the workforce services will come over to this new agency. So, what we are saying at the local regional level, completely on board with restructuring. Again, first step, let's keep going and keep the momentum. And I think what we are pushing for, which I hope that most of you would agree, we push that the importance is to have this strategic alignment at the state level to really allow us local and regional flexibility to really compartmentalize and make sure our businesses and job seekers get what they need. I think that this will accomplish this, so more to come on the implementation. The timeline did get moved back slightly. It looks like this full implementation will be September 1st of 2024. But as of July 1st, 2023, so in just under 4 months, the new department will exist. So I'll stop there and ask any questions. I'll go into our key initiatives, but I know this might be a place where folks want to ask questions. Or maybe I was completely clear, which is rare.
Don't be shy. Anybody got any questions?
Okay, well, then I'll talk a little bit about some of the key things that we're doing. And I really tried to sort them in 3 different buckets because, again, beyond our federal programs, we really try to look at what are the challenges in our region and what are the gaps that we can address with our funding. The first one is retaining talent in the region. And when I say retaining talent, a lot of you are probably familiar with the term brain drain. We have tons of colleges and universities around us. We're losing that talent that's graduating. But what I focus on really is all of the high school students. Because we graduate an inordinate amount of high school students from this region alone, and a lot of them leave and they do not come back. And I was one of them, I'll have to say. I am a boomerang, the folks they talk about. I went to William Byrd High School in Roanoke County, and I couldn't get out of here fast enough because I didn't think anything was here. And when we've talked to these kids, a lot of them say, there's no jobs for me. I have to go be a doctor. My mom wants me to be a lawyer. My mom wants me to be a pharmacist. And it's just not reasonable for some of them. For others, absolutely, college is the way to go. So we are trying to really invest in initiatives that help explore those career opportunities for our youth, but also help the parents understand college is not the only solution. You don't have to go into debt. There's great jobs here, and if you get in a job, they'll probably pay for your education while you work, that earn and learn model. So we have several events. Career Quest is an event that we've been doing now for about 4 years. We just opened up and did our second event of the year that the schools have requested and are now also doing it for 7th and 10th graders. Really trying to do those multiple touch points to get them to understand their career opportunities. Youth workshops have been a hit at the libraries. We have never had success with workshops. No one ever comes. But we've started doing youth-tailored workshops. We just did one in partnership with a local company that has started designing their own clothing, and we did it on a Dress for Success. We had 30 kids from high school, just Patrick Henry alone, come to that workshop. So that was they were just so excited about it. We are doing a summer employment program. So those kids that are juniors, seniors, looking for internships or just part-time job placements, we're helping them with finding jobs and figuring out what they want to be when they grow up. And then we're also working with Goodwill and TAP doing a city block party this year. So for the seniors graduating from Patrick Henry and William Fleming, producing an event that would be a block party for them to come celebrate their graduation, but also trick them into looking at employment education opportunities. You have to do it with kids, so. Another one is business engagement. And really, this is another big topic. Businesses are hurting for people. Our labor force participation is really low, lower than the state. From the business side, we're really looking at, again, engaging with kids and adults and everyone all along the talent pipeline. So doing business visits with our K through 12 schools, getting the kids exposed to what they're doing, looking at registered apprenticeships. I cannot say that enough. We have an aging workforce in this region. Our employers really need to find a way to transfer that talent and that knowledge from the older generations to the younger generations. There's no better way to do that than registered apprenticeship. And then looking at custom training. I'll tell you, everyone is competing against everybody. The solution is not just to raise wages, because what will happen is they'll start jumping back and forth to employers. They pay 25 cents more an hour. Well, this one just jumped to 50 cents more an hour and a $1,000 bonus. And so they just keep transferring employees. So figuring out how to change your culture, be more inviting, do custom training, show your career pathways, show people their growth. So just looking at new and innovative ways with businesses on how to really recruit their pipeline. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just, again, engaging our out-of-work populations. And this is a big one. Again, when you talk about labor force participation being low, our region lost a ton of people during COVID in the workforce. And it wasn't because they just want to sit home. It really wasn't. I tell this story a couple times. We were expecting a flood of people from unemployment when the unemployment stuff ran out, when they were getting their $1,000 checks every month and things. We were waiting at the doors, no one showed up. Our traffic didn't increase once. And what we learned was a lot of folks learned to live on one income. They said, the heck with traveling to work every day. I'm not dealing with the stress. I'm gonna stay home with the kids and not pay childcare. So that really factored into a lot of our labor force participation challenges. So really we're trying to figure out, okay, well, who's not working? So those would be the people on public assistance, folks in recovery. We could definitely have a new person at that table and we're excited about that. Refugees and immigrants. We do have a lot of refugees who get resettled here and that have been resettled here. So how do we take them and move them into these more skilled occupations? Looking at those that are unemployed, homeless. And the key that I want to point out to you guys, wraparound services is what's getting us through right now. We are paying for a lot of people to just survive. A lot of people who are getting jobs now, what we're discovering when we dig a little bit, whether it's COVID or their own personal decisions, they are deeply in debt, whether it's a mortgage or rental, a utility eviction or cutoff notice. And so we are helping them get back to square one, paying those things off, because when they get that first paycheck, we want them to start growing and saving and being sustainable and not trying to dig out of a hole. Our employers have told us that a lot of folks that are getting their wages garnished or anything like that, when they get in that hole, they aren't making enough, so they quit, and they go do something else off the table. And so we're really trying to get those people out of poverty and help them understand that they can live without benefits, that they can get over that benefit cliff and, sustain their wages and things like that. So the city has been grateful enough to give us ARPA dollars, as well as a couple of other discretionary grants that have really allowed us to provide wraparound supportive services. Unfortunately, it's just city residents or people working at city businesses. So that really limits us, of course, when you talk about county residents or Allegheny Highlands residents and things like that. We have few pots, but the city's pot is pretty tremendous. We just paid off a mortgage, a back mortgage. It was $2,000. I know that's, a little bit of good chunk of change, but to her, I mean, she just wept to us because she was so thankful that she could use her paycheck to feed her kids. So, just doing those type of things and being able to do those type of things. She's now working as a pharmacy technician at Carillion, and Carillion's training her on the job. And when she finishes her training, she's gonna earn $17 an hour. So, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal for someone who didn't have a job at all. So those dollars have really supported us and really allowed us. And those are the type of things that we are now looking for, is those flexible dollars that don't have all those restrictions that can help us provide some of those services. So that's a little bit about the workforce board, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And I just really want to thank Chairman North and all of you as commission members for letting me speak. I'm happy to come back and give reports on anything you guys want, or bore you with more data. So again, thanks for having me, but I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Morgan? Mr. Radford?
Morgan, how do you mentioned you're talking with high schools, 11th and 12th graders. Are you working with the CTE program with all the different school systems?
Yes, sir. That's actually our main conduit into the schools, just because they are so much more in touch with some of our business community. So yes, that's our main contacts, yes.
Okay, and how do you find the facilities around the region compared to the other 13 for our area?
So I will say that I have not ventured to tour or see anybody's facilities in other areas. I will say of my counterparts, there's probably only a handful that talk about some of the same resources at the CTE level that I do. I don't know if that's because they're not vocal about it or connected, or if they don't exist. I actually used to be the assistant director in the Charlottesville region, so I am familiar with some of their CTE programs. They have a joint school between the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Great facility. Reminds me a lot of some of the things that we have here. I think our CTE programs here are doing a fantastic job with the resources that they are given. Some of these programs to meet our business needs, particularly in manufacturing, are extremely expensive, especially with the equipment. But I think our schools have done a phenomenal job with what they have. I will say I'm very excited about, Rotech's second location coming on board. I think that's a great opportunity because it is known that William Fleming students do not really travel to Patrick Henry and vice versa. So that'll be a great opportunity. And, with the expansion of Burton, what we're looking at is how do we connect those massive, great facilities? Is there an opportunity to provide adult learning at night? So those things don't just sit at night in those great facilities. Our community colleges have great facilities too, but the more flexible our trainings can be to meet adults or learners where they are, whether it's nights, weekends, things like that, the better attendance will be. So I think that's an opportunity for our CTE schools to start providing some of those adult classes outside of those high school hours. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Peter?
What are the major industry mismatches that we have here in this area? Like where do we need the most workforce right now?
And this is no surprise to anyone I'm about to say, is healthcare. That's the number one. I mean, the number one occupation we need is registered nurses. And if you look at like the top 10 or 15, it's flooded with registered nurses, CNAs, personal care assistants, pharmacy technicians, phlebotomists, medical assistants. So I think that's probably the number one industry, and Brilliant lets me know about that frequently. But I also think what folks don't understand, or some of our, folks that we're talking to in a, job seeker environment, there's two types of healthcare here. There's the acute care facilities, but there's also the long-term care facility presence that is massive here. It's a different skill set. And so meeting both of those industry needs is tough. It's tough. Secondary, I would say, just because of the pandemic, and I'm trying not to blame everything on the pandemic these days, but the hospitality industry is hurting. It's probably no secret, if you go to a restaurant, you're probably gonna wait these days. It's hit or miss whether you'll wait 45 minutes or 5. So I think some restaurants are doing better than others, some, within the hospitality industry, but that's an industry that's hurting. And then, of course, my number 3 would probably be manufacturing. We just have such a large manufacturing presence. The challenge there, it's not necessarily job growth, and that we don't have a big announcement, that's the economic development folks, but the retirements from the manufacturing industry are really, really kind of breathing down our neck at this point. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for Morgan? Morgan, great presentation. As this new agency rolls out, it would be good to hear going forward, what are some of the grants that are out there, because they're there.
Yes.
And this is a huge first step consolidating, but knowing about what's out there is important too, because there's some people that save coupons that go to the store, and there's some people that don't. And the point is, there's lots more money than what a coupon has for a grocery item that's available. And let me just say this, the CTE effort needs to be regional, because when it's regional, it carries a lot more leverage.
Agreed.
And there are dollars that are just waiting. Only thing you gotta do is be regional. And
That's
you
right.
can be regional in a number of different ways. So I just leave that on the table for my 2 cents on the subject. Anybody else have any questions for Morgan? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Very timely. And you sure that money's going to be signed by the governor? If you clear both houses, it should be, right?
Well, we'll see.
Okay, good deal.
Unless something crazy happens, which,
If not, we're gonna send you back down here to fix that.
Okay, I'll do it.
Let's go on now to item 6 on the agenda. This is a regional commission mid-year projects update by our RVARC staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a little over halfway through the year, so we want to use this opportunity to let folks know at kind of a high level some of the key projects, the progress we're making on them throughout the year. I'll try to emphasize this is not a comprehensive list of what we do. That would take forever, and we would not want to get into that level of detail. But I've asked our staff to pull together some of the key projects that we're working on across the region, and so each of our directors are going to go through, highlight some of these efforts. As always, if there is more detail you want to drill down into, happy to follow up separately. This is also an opportunity to think about, we're in our annual work program development process. As folks know, we have modified that process to be a bit more flexible and allow projects to be brought on throughout the year. So this is also an opportunity to remind you, these are some of the things we're working on, but there's projects like this that we can continue to work on. So if there's ideas that you have for your localities, of course, if 5 different localities have the same idea, that's great. That's why we're here, to try to bring those ideas together. So if this is an opportunity to get inspired for things that you'd like us to see us tackle in the coming fiscal year, that would be great. Just please let us know. So I think the next slide, we're going to touch on, there's just a little bit of everything you do. You'll notice it says, I will provide an update on the collective response. Well, we have a director who is willing to get up and talk about some of the work on the collective response. So you'll hear from each of the directors about kind of all the work that we're working on. So I think we go on to, I believe Eddie is our first speaker.
Is this the most recent copy? Because this isn't what we were looking at this afternoon.
I got it from Teams, so.
Okay,
Check in the admin directory. Yeah. Sometimes when you're having 15 people trying to work on the same presentation, even the best Microsoft collaborative software can be. So.
Sorry, I took it from Teams, but.
yeah, we weren't using the
Get the
Teams
OneDrive.
version of it. Under administrative work programs, 23, what is it?
I think it over from here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. We've been staring at it for days, so we're.
Jeremy, while we're waiting, do you want to tell us what this is?
I can tell you.
I'll let Andrea tell you what those are.
I'm next, I'll be presenting my annual update on resolutions. I wanted to leave you with a token, you can remember me. That is a camera cover for your laptop. So you can stick it on your camera on your laptop, and always it has a little window you can slide on and off so nobody can spy on you.
Oh.
If you have concerns with Elon Musk or Jeffrey Zuckerberg keeping a tab on you, you can cover your
And
camera.
then you can think about me every time you're on a
Thank you.
I could do my update if you want. but
Well, we found the right one, it was just re-downloading it.
Probably needed this. Is it easier to go on Andrea's part?
The houses, it's like on the side of the picture.
Well, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, we'll switch the agenda around due to technical issues. We'll maybe her report first, and then we'll come back to
Okay,
it here.
let's do that if there's no objections, so we can be efficient with our time.
Yes, thank you.
And so we'd like to recognize Andrea Garland to give us an update on Ride Solutions annual program update. Andrea?
Yes, so thank you, members of the commission for inviting me today to give you my annual update on the commuter assistance program, Ride Solutions. And just to, we have some new members, just to remind you what we do. Ready to me with the slides? Okay, so Ride Solutions is the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission Transportation Demand Management Program. We were branded Ride Solutions and have been operating in the region since 2001. The objective of the TDM program is to ensure that our region's residents maintain our quality of life by prioritizing efficient transportation options and mobility, along with economic development success, without compromising on congestion, air quality, and safety of the transportation system users. We achieve this goal by promoting transportation alternatives to driving alone, and we want to identify what strategies from our toolbox will work on your local communities, whether it's van pool services, carpooling, walking, or transit. Over the years, we have worked to support you and our stakeholders through technical assistance, connections, and promotions of transportation alternatives. The operation of Ride Solutions program is funded by the Department of Rail and Public Transportation through the Commuter Assistance Program. So one of our ways that we measure and continue success with this program is through our membership program that is run through the Ride Solutions app, which has been in existence since 2019. This allows us to engage residents directly at their fingertips. The Ride Solutions app facilitates ride matching. So for those interested in carpooling, they can plug in their origin and destination in the app and find an alternative to find a carpool match, hopefully for their commute. And you can do the next slide. Or they can also potentially find another transportation alternative if there might be a transit option for that commute. This again, so we can go to the next slide. So van pooling, just jumping up, I think this is the next big program to address equity and long distance commutes in our region. This program has been in existence, but stalled during 2020 and 2021. And we have seen this return as a strong focus for employee retention benefits and equity access to transportation. Ride Solutions can support the initiation of a van pool program with regional employers or localities. There are currently 8 van pools that cross the RVARC region weekly. They all started within the last year. And so, yes, if you have more information about this program, please let me know. Another way that we build membership and awareness to a program is through the rewards program, which is built in within our app. Our members of the Ride Solutions app collect points by entering their trips in the app, and the rewards partners are managed by the app developments, by the app developers. However, we have taken the initiative to build a local brand to that rewards program. So during the past year, we have added 5 new local businesses to our rewards program. And these partners really support our mission and want to encourage their patrons to commit to some sustainable transportation practices. We love to continue to add reward partners that represent your communities. So please let me know if you have contacts in mind that I can reach out to. Again, the new strategy, well, not new, but continuing with a strategy of brand awareness. In 2022, we embarked on a marketing strategy for Ride Solutions, kind of on a path to be known in our community and people know who we are. We felt that it was the right time to re-engage our audience and tell more people about Ride Solutions. Last spring, we ran our first brand awareness campaign with a focus on rural zip codes in our region and addressing head-on the message of high gas prices. This campaign ran for 3 months. It was a social media awareness campaign and generated a great level of awareness. The campaign aims to get people to visit the website and sign up as a member, but it also aims to put our brand into people's minds. So that awareness builds, that built-in awareness then converts to trust, which converts to members that want to see our services. Our winter campaign that we ran this December, again with the same awareness in mind, but now using the message of ride sharing. It seemed like a nice, novel New Year's resolution idea. So that ran in the month of January. Another way that we are using to reach awareness to a brand is by exploring trips that go beyond commuting. So Floyd Fest is a high caliber national event that attracts people from all over the country and thousands of visitors and locals to one spot during 1 week. We have partnered with Floyd Fest since 2019 to promote carpooling to the festival, and every year we kind of have built on that partnership. This year, we actually were able to add a question at the points of sale. So when people were buying their tickets, they were asked, do you want to carpool? Are you interested in being contacted by Ride Solutions? So now we have a list of names and addresses, contacts actually, to reach out directly and begin building that program. We're also working with the organizers as they're developing their new site and the new parking policies and see how we can help improve their transportation and parking accessibility. So the results, so this is sort of this is a snapshot of the results of our campaigns last year. So where we can see that each month, so this is from March to April. In March, we weren't running our campaigns. We began running our campaigns in April. So every month, we measure how many new members are up, what we're getting. So each month of the campaign run, we increase our new membership significantly. And possibly what you looked at had the most increase was the carpool trips. So went from 5 carpool trips registered in the app to 189. And this could, again, this could be that all of these new members went into the app and found a carpool match and have taken carpool trips, but it also could be like all members that weren't already carpooling and doing the job, but reminding them that Ride Solutions is here, that you can record your trips, you can collect your rewards, and just bringing that brand awareness to the service. So we measure our membership, I guess, by fiscal year annually. And in 2022, we saw a big increase in our membership. We also measure, so the rewards program that I mentioned, there's a value to those rewards. So the rewards could be discount on local businesses, or it could be the opportunity to enter in a raffle of gift cards. That cost, we are not eating that cost. That cost is built into the app and the app developers, but that is a cost that our members have seen as rewards for our program. So we just hope to really see this keep increasing, and that's always the goal. We love that our partnerships and initiatives pay off and we continue to be mentioned and recognized beyond the Roanoke Valley. So last year, AAA recognized Roanoke as one of the best cities for biking. But in that recognition, they made mention of Ride Solutions, self-guided bike tours as a key tool at making the region a bike destination. I think we have presented on the Ride Solutions self-guided bike tours, but this was a program developed in 2020 to continue engagement and encouragement of active transportation and physical activity. And this program has been nationally recognized. We have a pool of over 30 bike rides across Roanoke and our localities, and we want to host your localities favorite and fantastic scenic bike rides. So if you have that information, again, is something we can also promote and host for you. We were also recognized by the Smart Growth America as the 2023 Complete Streets Changemakers. What this means, this national recognition means that our staff is equipped with knowledge and experience to assist and advise your localities on your Complete Streets projects. So let us know what you're working on. So finally, a really quick look at what we're working right now. We are actually excited. We're working with Catawba Hospital. That's sort of a success story from our rural campaign that we ran last year. Somebody in Catawba Hospital saw that ad, reached out to us on social media, and moving forward to now, she has been a champion within the organization to help us promote the idea of a commuter assistance program. So we had run an employee survey, and we are scheduled next month to visit the facility and launch a carpooling program with the results of the survey. The Guaranteed Ride Home campaign program, we often forget that is actually a benefit of being a member of Ride Solutions. And if you are already, if you're already doing the work of carpooling, taking transit, using sustainable modes of transportation for your commute, and on top of that, you are a member of Ride Solutions, you are eligible to a benefit in case you have an emergency and you have to get home before the end of the day. So you can, you can schedule a ride home and we will reimburse you for that ride. So this, for our spring campaign this year, we want to kind of leverage that, that benefit to remind people again that we're here and what we do, and bring awareness to our program. Bike ride with leaders, Barbara is in charge of this. But no, I do want to mention that we are talking really, May is Bike Month, and there's a lot to celebrate in all our localities. We have heard from you all of all your projects that have involved in bicycle infrastructure, new greenways, and we do want to celebrate those successes. So there has been an initiative to plan a bike ride with leaders of our community, so with this cohort and your contacts. So if this is something that you're interested in, or you know somebody who'd be interested in participating, let me know, and we will make sure you are invited. We are working with our regional counterparts in transportation demand to do a regional transportation event where we will feature the state transportation connections to Southwest Virginia. So Amtrak, for those of you know, the Virginia Breeze, we also have the Smartway bus. So we're working on that event hopefully for this summer. Again, we will be working with Boy Fest again this summer. And our by Bus, which has been a beloved program of ride solutions that happened for many years, is a collaboration between the Roanoke Arts Commission and Valley Metro to promote transit via the lens of art and the written word. So it invites artists to ride the bus for a period of time and get inspiration for a piece of literature. So I actually brought some examples of past years, and if you're interested, you're welcome to grab some on your way out. So hopefully at this point, I have convinced you that we do good work and that we need money to continue to do this work. Our Ride Solutions program, the DRPT grant cycle runs in January. We have completed 2 grant applications. The Commuter Assistance Program, Operating Assistance Grant, which is our annual grant. It requires a 20% local match. And this year we also applied for a commuter assistance, technical assistance to develop a commuter assistance program and strategic plan. This is actually a requirement now from the RPT to continue to fund the commuter assistance program, but it really gives us the opportunity to really focus on our goals and our priorities for our region, in which hopefully your localities will be engaged to see how we can serve you and what your needs are. So the action for this meeting is to approve those resolutions and authorizing the application for the state commuter assistance program grants and the local ones. And I'll take your questions.
Any questions for Andrea?
Yes.
You had a couple of slides back there that had some numbers and bar graphs on. I was having trouble analyzing exactly what they're saying. So this one right there,
yes.
You're talking about total car to pool trips during this promotional period, right? But you only had a very small increase in car to pool participants. Does that mean you already had this existing base of car pool trips?
That's what we, again, you're seeing these numbers, somebody might be like kind of sad numbers, but to me, they're encouraging numbers because again, we're bringing the awareness again of like our existence and what we're here for. So what we think is that there's a lot of people, there has been branding awareness of Ride Solutions for many years, but we stalled for a couple of years. So I think it reminded people that you have this app on your phone. What is this app doing? Oh, I actually carpool every day. I'm forgetting to record my trips. So that's the analysis.
And are those new members cumulative or is
no? These are actually new members every month.
Every month. So how many total members? Because that's
oh, I think I have in the next.
That's over 200 right there. So.
Yes. So that is the total number of members on the that we have.
That was the next slide.
As of January, we have 2,700 members. as of January.
And the rewards dollars, how does that relate to the numbers? Because it seems to go down instead of going up.
So Jeremy maybe can tell me why they have so many awards in 2021, I don't know what he did. So the rewards the rewards again, they're attached to discounts. One way is attached to discounts, so you can get a 20% off on your sandwich at Jimmy John's, or 15% off at your tire fix at Advanced Auto. So that number, that cost is related to the service, right? So maybe I should have included how many rewards we gave. And also there are incentives monthly to win gift cards. But you have to physically accept that you want to be part of that pool. So that could be maybe part of people have forgotten that you can monthly choose to be selected for that. But I think that 2023 is looking like it's gonna go on the right trajectory.
Doing well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next
Yes.
question.
This is a commercial. May is Bike Month. May 19th is the day of the ride. It's Bike, Hike, and Bus to Work Day. If those of you that are in positions to make decisions, legislative or proclamations, that we would encourage you to ask your workforce to bike, hike, or walk to work that day, and perhaps give them some incentive, maybe like a free lunch or something like that. But we want a healthy Roanoke Valley, and this is one way to get people out of doors and connect our neighborhoods and our community. May 19th.
Good reminder, Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, this isn't a commercial, but I did buy an e-bike just recently.
They're half price at Cardinal now.
Yeah. So our regional commission is made up of city town members and county members, where we have vast amounts of land. What's the proportion of county versus the towns and cities using this app and doing the ride share? Are you finding me and the county people are using it?
It's not a number I have off the top of my head, but it's a number I can get for you. But we do have, I could account for that, but it's not a number.
So the reason I ask is, as we put a lot of money, our group puts money in the greenways. I know I've talked about this before, but the town, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, they built a super greenway from some of the counties into the town. And it's like a super freeway for e-bikes. So it helps them share. You don't share a bike, but at least it gets them off a different, mode of vehicle. And they're crazy, but they do it in the wintertime too, when there's snow everywhere.
I should mention that that's a great point. I think that in terms of our members to the app, they're probably going to be primarily carpoolers, because that's what it's primarily built for, is to create that carpool match.
Right.
However, it does allow you, if you're doing transit and bike trips or carpool trips as part of your commute, you can enter those trips and equally participate in the rewards program, but it also helps us measure the impact of all of those trips. The goal of these campaigns and the awareness is that we want more people to enter those trips. So yes, perhaps there's I presume people, and now with the connection to the Greenway in Salem, more people that can commute on the Greenway, and there's probably people that are doing it. The struggle is to get them to enter that trip into our app so we can measure it.
Right.
So that's essentially kind of how what the struggle is in essence. For the carpoolers, they rely on this for their match, but for any of the other trips, even for transit trips, I don't think we have clients of really transit trips in our app, because people just take the bus, they don't put it on an app.
Andrea, is there a possibility of getting a van pool to like Floyd on the weekends so we can go there, or to the Moss Center, or to Clifton Forge for the theater and not have to drive back at night?
Well, so the van pool programs that we connect with is directly for commuting. So they're actually subsidized by the RPT at some level, and they're programmed to do a commuter. So to take workers of a locality or of a business, of an employer, create the pool, and they have the van is provided by Enterprise, and they share the driving, but they're connecting from home to work. What you're talking about is possibly more like an on-demand transit service. That's kind of a different.
I mean, we even needed one to Richmond this year because so many of us were driving back and forth. So I don't know what other organization would provide carpooling for recreational destinations.
Any more questions for Andrea? Thank you for that update. At this time, there is some action requested. That's the approval on page 22, your package of a resolution authorizing the application for state commuter assistance program operating assistance and technical assistance grants. Do I have a motion that we approve this resolution?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, let's go back up to item number 6. Are we ready for the regional mission project updates yet? Okay, who's on deck first? Eddie Wells.
So like Jeremy had said, if you can go back one, so project highlights, we sort of tried to do them in alphabetical order by topic title, other than sending Robert for last since he's new. So a little bit about economic development, environmental planning, so our GIS mapping, which covers all of our project areas. Greenways, trails, outdoor recreation, housing, which is really a new program for us this year, transportation planning, and then the Roanoke Valley collective response. Economic development, our main role here is really providing technical assistance, mapping, data, assistance with grant writing, things like that. One of the specific items that we do, we are the economic development district for the region that's designated by the EDA. One of our roles for that is maintaining and updating the SEDS document every year. One of the items that came out of committee meetings earlier this year, suggestion from Jeremy after going to I believe a NATO meeting, and seeing what other people have been doing with their sets is to develop a user-friendly version online. A lot of you, if you've seen the sets, planners and bureaucrats may not mind digging through 50 pages of data tables. General public, not so much. We got a couple of examples on the screen. One from Land of Sky, which is our favorite competitor in Asheville, North Carolina. And the other from Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, which we're also familiar with because they're on the upper side of the Chesapeake Bay work that we do. We've also done some EDA grant application assistance and direct meetings with EDA staff this year. The CTE project of Roanoke County, we met and discussed possible funding for that. We've also talked some about the Benton Downtown Hotel project and a few other projects on that. Environmental planning. This is I guess the first one on here, the Roanoke County septic pump out program is something new this year. Amanda and Gabriel are coordinating that. It is funded through the Virginia Environmental Endowment. The program plans on doing free pump outs for citizens in Roanoke County. We plan to do 96 of them. We only started advertising about a month ago, and they've already got over 70 applicants for the program, so I think that's going to go really well. That may be one of the things that we expand out into other localities, Craig, Alleghany, looking at some other funding sources other than the Virginia Environmental Endowment. Amanda did a Craig County Energy Ordinance review. Craig County, like many of our localities, has been looking at solar installations and how that should be done, either at a residential level or at a, I guess, at a utility level, and making suggestions about what needs to be changed in the zoning ordinances to accommodate that. Amanda and Gabriel are continuing to coordinate our Chesapeake Bay implementation plan work. We've been doing that for 5 years. Most of the work so far has been more outreach, educational planning. I think Chesapeake Bay is looking at us doing more implementation work in the coming years. That's looking at stormwater, stormwater issues, water quality issues, erosion, things like that. So we may be getting more involved in that. Robin and Gabriel have both been working with DEQ and Virginia Department of Health grants for some of our rural localities, in particular Clifton Forge and Iron trying to help VDH and DEQ spend out all their ARPA funding. I believe Iron Gate's got almost $1 million that was awarded. There's a $5.2 million application that's sitting on somebody's desk in Richmond that our fingers are crossed that we'll hear about that next month. So all that's, it's some of the environmental plan that we're doing. GIS mapping, as sort of mentioned, GIS and the data reporting is something that touches almost all our projects. You see on this map, a map showing the transportation needs in the TPO area that Jonathan had done for the TPO and TPC. We've also updated the service area maps for the TPO and for our region. Robin's been doing mapping with Roanoke Valley Broadband and Trail Recreation Trail mapping, and also the tiny little map that's on the back of our business card. So I'm not sure how she squeezed that on there, but did a good job with that one. Greenways, trails, outdoor recreation. Amanda has been coordinating the Roanoke River Blueway Committee and implementation of that for 5 years, 6 years, the whole time she's been here. This year, their big effort has been formalization of the committee, getting bylaws adopted and official representatives on there from each of the localities. They're also doing improvements at the voting access sites for the kiosk. I believe there are 2 this year for Roanoke County.
There will be 3 going in for Roanoke County in the next couple of months.
Okay. And Salem's
next
year.
Next
Okay.
big.
That's all. Amanda's also serving on the West Roanoke Greenway, West Roanoke River Greenway Technical Committee, looking at a routing for the Valley-to-Valley Trail project, hopefully. We've been providing counter assistance for a long time now, as most of you, or as many of you know, we have trail counters out on various greenways and at various parks in the region, all the way from Covington down to Smith Mountain Lake, and that counter data supports a lot of grant applications, planning efforts, things like that at the local and state level now. I know VDOT's using those counts right now to sort of measure improvements and things like that. This past year, two of the bigger grants that we supplied data for, that Amanda supplied data for, was McAfee Knob shuttle application that Roanoke County submitted, and also for the National Park Service Appalachian Trail management plan that they're working on, working with their consultants and making sure that they have sort of a consistent count. Robin's been working with the 4 localities in the Allegheny Highlands and the outdoor recreation plan. That's involved a series of meetings over the past year, plus 3 different online surveys, I believe, tourist event participants and local residents, see what the needs are. I believe that report is in a draft format. You'll probably see that out in the public later this spring, early summer, with some meetings, right? Housing, like I said, that's sort of new for us this year. The regional commission's always sort of been on the side, participating in a lot of committee meetings, going to lots of workshops, helping with grants, providing technical support, things like that. After our completion of the Roanoke Valley housing needs study, Brian Hill coordinated an effort to do a grant application to Virginia Housing, which was successful for the $2 million grant. At this time, we've obligated probably 3/4 of that money, working with 4 different partners. Over 70 units have been invested in at this time. There's still a chunk of money that is going to be allocated or obligated to those existing partners. Coming up. I guess this time I will turn it over to Christina Finch to talk about transportation.
Thank you, Eddie. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I am happy to share with you today about transportation planning work here at the Commission, which is supported by many different grants, both at the federal level and state level, and a local match that brings in those dollars. So the biggest accomplishment that we've had this year occurred last month with the approval of the Roanoke Valley Transportation Plan. So seeing some members of the RVTPO policy board here, so thank you for that. We are so excited to have that 2.5-year effort now complete and moving into the implementation of that transportation plan. As part of this plan, we were able to secure an Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment Technical Assistance Grant, which provided us with a consultant to create this new workflow, if you would like to think of it that way, to kind of frame how we go about transportation planning in the region. And so we were able to apply it most immediately to the urban transportation plan. And it starts with the most fundamental level of what do our citizens say are transportation issues that they encounter on a day-to-day basis as they try to get around our region. And we identified over 800 locations with unique needs. That may be being stuck in traffic congestion, which fortunately we don't have as much traffic congestion as other regions, but it still exists here, and it frustrates folks. And safety, we're always concerned about hearing about traffic fatalities, people not feeling safe walking or riding a bicycle somewhere around our region. So those are all issues that were identified through the needs process. We can't address all of those one time, and so there was a whole prioritization process that looked at different factors, data, to say of those 800 plus needs in our region, which are the now 150 that all of the transportation stakeholders in our region are going to spend time and energy over the next 5 years trying to figure out what is the best solution to address that transportation need. And so then we work our way through the flow chart, say, okay, we have consensus on these preferred solutions. We feel like this is the best way to address this need, and then a project is created, potentially with multiple needs being addressed for one location, and it moves forward with the consensus building, gets its stamp of approval, and we try and get money for it through the many different grants that are available. So this is a new thought process, even though it doesn't seem new. It is now documented, and it's going to be applied to other transportation planning efforts in our region. Along with that transportation plan is a transportation improvement program, which allows those federal dollars to fund 2 transportation projects in our region. And so all of the projects, 110 projects are funded in the Roanoke Valley right now. They are active, and it's providing $1.4 billion of investment in our region. So it's good stuff. Moving on, So as I mentioned, this new process is now being applied to the rural area. We're updating what was the 2011 Rural Transportation Plan. It was done by consultants back then, and we're now doing that in-house. We've already gone through the needs assessment process, and prioritization is going to look a little bit different for the rural area, so we're moving forward with that methodology. Congestion, I mentioned, is something that we want to maintain. We don't want it to grow. And so we look at it every year, and we're going through that process now to look at the data and see how is congestion different than it was last year, and how are we doing with the strategies that have been identified for all of our stakeholders to work on to prevent future congestion. We're currently working with a consultant on a travel survey for the entire RVARC region. This was a grant that Andrea had secured through DRPT last year, and we're excited to move forward with this travel survey with the goal of trying to get 2,000 responses. And within those responses, what we're trying to learn are people's travel patterns, how satisfied are they with the trips, and awareness and their attitudes about the transportation options that they have available to them where they live, and then what kinds of assistance do their employers provide for helping the employees get to work, which goes along with what Morgan was talking about earlier today. We also have a number of count programs, and this year actually was the last year that we assisted Valley Metro with the National Transit Database Survey. We have been helping Valley Metro with this effort every 3 years for well over a decade. And this was the last year because all of the buses have now been outfitted with automatic passenger counters. So technology has replaced the human need to go on and physically count how many people are getting off the bus at each stop. And what that has done for a long time now is allow the federal dollars to fund Valley Metro services in the Roanoke Valley. We also, as Eddie was talking about, we have a bicycle and pedestrian count program. So in addition to the trails, where we're counting how many users there are, we also have an on-road bike program, and just trying to see how many users there are once improvements have been made in a certain location. And then we have staff that support a number of different committees for our region. So we work a lot with funding in the transportation world. And most recently, we learned about the Smart Scale results, which you heard about last month. So there were about 20 applications submitted in our region. Roanoke Regional Commission staff here had worked on 6 of those, and 3 of those were funded. So we're very pleased about that. We wish that that number overall was higher, but as I talked about the solutions process, we're going to continue to work on what are better solutions that will actually get the funding to see improvements in our region. The Better Bus Stops for Neighborhoods is a partnership with Valley Metro, the City of Roanoke, Roanoke Arts Commission, and that program is installing bus shelters in low-income neighborhoods, and there are 3 new bus shelters that will be coming to the Northwest neighborhood this spring. The Surface Transportation Block Grant Program is something that the RVTPO Policy Board has authority to allocate the funds, and it's about $6 million every year. For the next 6 years, most of those funds have already been allocated to projects, but we have $2 million that's going to be allocated shortly to projects that are already funded but are experiencing budget overruns due to inflation and other elements that we're seeing in other parts of life as well. And then we continue to provide assistance to local governments and just trying to gather the conversations around the other discretionary federal sources of funding that are coming through. Safe Streets for All grants. There were a number of localities in our region that applied for grants last summer and were successful. We just recently heard, so we had a meeting to discuss those grants before those applications were submitted. And then the RAISE grant, and there are others that continue to come through that we are keeping an eye on. And I'll end my portion of the presentation with this wonderful piece of news, which is that the Roanoke Valley-Alleghany Regional Commission has been designated a bicycle-friendly business. And this has come about actually because with Jeremy's leadership, we have really done a lot to encourage alternative transportation and provide incentives for folks to use different modes of transportation, including bicycles. to get to work. And Andrea tells me that we used to be bronze, and so we actually skipped silver and jumped straight to gold. So congratulations.
Yeah.
With that, if any local government is interested in developing their alternative transportation program to allow employees to commute in different ways, Andrea and other staff would be happy to work with you on that. And I will pass this off over to Robert.
Good afternoon. It's an honor and a pleasure joining you here today. Thank you, Mr. North, for the very kind introduction earlier and covering the Catawba Hospital update. As you mentioned, today is my 6th day in the office, so I will have a very brief update, but certainly wanted to say hello and meet each of you. The first update is about this Building on Hope white paper. This is the collective work of our stakeholder group, several hundred members working across 8 subgroups in categories such as child and family, housing, connection to care, crisis response. And the way we're getting ready to publish this, I know some of you may have seen it as part of, in support of the Catawba Hospital project, but we're looking to collaborate with each of your localities as well as our stakeholder organizations on a coordinated release, just addressing all of the challenges we face together in our shared approach to addressing the challenges and even communicating about that opportunity. I'd also like to recognize the great work of our peer recovery coordinator, Bailey-Helgeson, who is growing a peer network that started in October of last year, now over 100 members. She puts together monthly lunches and opportunities for program partners to share their updates and foster information sharing across those communities. Also recently hosted and facilitated a training responders for recovery program with Salem Fire and EMS. This is really exciting to connect those who have individuals and families who've experienced an overdose with a peer recovery provider almost immediately after the event, certainly in very close proximity. So that's really exciting and meaningful and just establishing a human connection at a very critical time. Last, I'd like to at least mention grant opportunities coming up through the Opioid Abatement Authority. This is a huge opportunity for each localities as well as a collaborative or coordinated response across multiple localities. So we will certainly be in touch with each of you and your teams and look forward to exploring opportunities to best understand your needs and develop coordinated solutions together. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will note, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind staying for a photo opportunity, we have a nice certificate for our gold bicycle-friendly business designation. And I want to emphasize, we do that. We're very excited to have gotten that designation, but the reason that we do this is so we can experiment on things so you folks don't have to, and the businesses in your localities don't have to. So please take advantage of what we've learned, take advantage of Andrea, and if you have businesses who are interested, this is a critical part of the regional economic development strategy, getting people outside and even on their way to work, so we can help businesses achieve this and then market themselves. Some of that talent retention, all this tied back again to some of what Morgan mentioned earlier with keeping people here in our beautiful region. So just wanted to add that real quick.
Sure. Thank you very much for that report. And by the way, just a commercial, don't be shy of folks in surrounding counties, members, towns, whatever. If you have some idea of a project, get in contact with the commission and run it by them, because now we don't have just a period during the year. You can bring it up in April, bring it up in September, whatever. But here to help study things, area, and do information. And whether it's a white paper or whether it's a short paper, it doesn't make any difference. But don't be shy it doesn't cost anything but your time to have a conversation, and it may lead to something you can take back to your communities and share, and I encourage that, because when I first got on the commission, I asked for 2 or 3 projects, and they were all done within, 18 months to 2 years. They sometimes have to go out and find grants. And here comes that grant question again, which I refer to other people's money when you go for a grant to fund the study and what have you. And so don't be shy. If you don't ask for it, you won't receive it. You have to ask for it. So there you go. Let's move on then to item 8, other business. Is there any other business for the commission that we have? Barbara?
I'm Barbara Dirk. I am bike partisan, and I spoke to you last time about the bicycle bills that were coming before the General Assembly. And it was very partisan down there. Most of the Senate bills didn't make it through the House and vice versa, but there were 3 bills I wanted to let you know that I think the governor is going to sign. One of them is House Bill 1510, Urban Green Space Local Initiatives. And that authorizes localities to grant tax incentives or provide regulatory flexibility to encourage preservation, restoration, or development of urban green space, including greenways. There's House Bill 2104, which is school crossing zones, that extends school crossing areas from 600 feet to 750 feet. The bill, just as I said, Senate Bill 1069. This is driver's stop for pedestrians. We thought that had already passed, but evidently there was some concern from Northern Virginia. So that made it through the House, and we look forward to the people in this area, which has been defined as very progressive, stop for pedestrians and crosswalks, to be able to continue encouraging stop for pedestrians and crosswalks. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that update, Barbara.
I look forward to the localities and the regional commission, including bicycle bills and approval, support of bicycle bills in the next General Assembly. We'll see what they are.
Very good. And that's something to take under advisement with our legislative committee when we meet here in the future. Item 9, comments from commission members and or the public. Does anyone wish to offer comment on anything?
Mr. Chair, I have 2 things I'd like to kind of tag on to what Barbara said. Yesterday afternoon, the Roanoke Regional Greenway Commission met. The Regional Greenway Commission is made up of the jurisdictions of Bonnetoc County, Roanoke City, Roanoke County, Salem City, and the town of Vinton. We were privileged to have the city of Roanoke's new transportation employee who deals with safe streets, dealing with bicycles and with pedestrians. His presentation was eye-opening. I don't know if it would be eye-opening to the city of Roanoke people, but to the other jurisdictions. Some of the things that are being implemented by the city of Roanoke are rather expensive, but some of them are not. And I would like to see if we can possibly get Mr. Isom on our agenda to speak.
Jeremy might write the note down.
All right, and the second quick thing, last Friday, the Salem-Roanoke County Chamber of Commerce held an event titled Breakfast with Our Congressman. Ben Klein and Morgan Griffith were there. Following that meeting, several comments were made that you feel needed to be thanked for your comments, which everyone believed were very timely, concerning what they could do to help the Roanoke region with the expansion of the Roanoke-Blacksboro Regional Airport and its services. And so thank you very much on behalf of some of those members.
I scooted out of there, so I didn't.
Yes, they were looking for you.
Oh, they were?
Yes, later. But thank you for those comments.
Sometimes you just want to leave after you make comments too. Actually, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I know a couple of people I ran into at a Williamson Road meeting came up to me afterwards and kind of touched on that. So anyway, it is what it is. It's a regional effort, and you cannot be successful without the support of our local congressional delegation, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, because 90% of the money is going to come from the federal government and 8% from the state of Virginia. And the governor's been interested in that. And then, of course, 2% locally. So, you know, that 2% locally might mean $1 million each from the members of the airport commission or what have you. So, you know, I just did a commercial just to keep it in front of them because, you know, you have one person, you know, Morgan's helped get money from Woodhaven, which is a regional effort. And, you know, Ben is a little more shy about getting money, but it's kind of like this, as Morgan says, he chases the money. If there's money, you get it for your region. The governor's interested in the airport expansion. He asked for a 10-year benefit analysis, which Jeremy and I followed up on back in early January, I guess, before the well, just after the General Assembly started, and working with the regional partnership, we came up with a impact of 1.6 billion over 10 years, I think it was 3 billion, wasn't it, or 2 billion, with the construction and the regional impact. Now, what did that all mean? And that meant this. People are leaving this area, going to Charlotte, they're going to Greensboro, they're going to Dulles. Every time they do that, you know, we don't get any benefit of it. So if you were to take that, reduce that leakage and take the factor up to 100%, that's kind of impact to the hit, but you can't do it without a longer runway because it doesn't attract the larger planes, which you get better fares. The fares to the Midwest are absolutely horrific right now. And like it or not, you know, my family has to just absorb it because that's the only way we can get there unless we drive or take the train, and that takes a lot longer. So at the end of the day, this is something that's going to take years to accomplish, but we've got to have them on board. And that's why I was telling them that. And so they keep it out front, in front of them, because Senator Warner knows about it, and Senator Kane, you indicated they're coming back through. So we'll just put it right back to them again. You know what, I'm gonna tell you what, it needs to be more people speaking on the same hymn book, because that gets more attention. And so I'm hoping someone else to engage on that topic when the time's right, and don't be shy, because if you're gonna wait for someone to come up to you and say, hey, do you need this? That ain't gonna happen. You gotta go for it. And it's gonna be an expensive project should that ever occur in the future. So thank you, Dee, I appreciate that. I won't be so quick to leave next time, Dave.
Chairman North, I'll just
Yes,
mention that certainly the Roanoke Regional Chamber will continue to be a tremendous advocate for the work that needs to be done at the airport. So Jeremy knows this, to not hesitate to reach out to myself and Terry Durkin on our staff to wherever we can help continue to push that message forward. We're laser focused on that.
Well, the master plan, I understand, is just being completed and getting ready to begin considering it going forward. And that's just one part of the whole equation. But I look forward to that progressing. And hopefully it'll happen in our lifetimes. It's meant to be, but I will tell you this, it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be cheap. Yes, sir.
This is a comment because I wasn't here when the minutes were approved. Very minor point that I was here present in person, not by Zoom.
Yes.
Thank you.
We thought you zoomed around the room.
Since you said it, we know you.
You just can't try.
It's better late than never. There you go.
I think it's, it stays on the template a little bit too, unless you take it off.
Any other comments from anyone? Okay, so the next time we get this project update next year, I want to see some other municipalities have some projects in there, because don't be shocked. All right, there'll be no further comments.
We can make the next locality presentation.
That's a great question. There's the city of Roanoke is one, and also
I'll need to look.
Franklin County is supposed to do one.
Franklin, I believe, I want it.
Right?
Roanoke is March. Roanoke is next, and then I think we have a town event after. I'm not gonna speak, because I think I have I know Benton, Franklin, and Roanoke City are up next,
Sure.
before the end of the year.
In the next 2 to 3 months.
And I can't remember the order, the city's next, then next.
Good question. Good question.
Thank you.
Okay, no more, any other comments? Going once, okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Chair.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.